All right, so this week's topic of Amuna Mondays was Bitachon within business. And before we begin, the class is dedicated to a couple names, so please have them in mind. In honor of Lule Nishmat for Yosef ben Devora, Gabriel Masaud bat Sarah, Sarin bat Mazal, and Yehuda Leib ben Harav Pinkas HaKohen. May all their Nashamot have the ultimate aliyah. So the topic of Bitachon within business. The reason I chose the topic was because in the previous weeks, I've just been mentioning how, in general, when it comes to, it's like a rule of thumb, when it comes to education and teaching a subject or wanting others to learn, it's best to relate it to them. And I feel like in this generation, that's not the most popular thing, or actually it's not even that. Maybe this generation it's a bit more than it used to be, because it used to be like you're just reading it directly from the Torah and using the exact terms, the exact words, and not adding any input. And not because God forbid it's not right and you can't add to the Torah. I don't look at it as adding to the Torah. It's simply relating it to this day and age. And I find that being the best possible way of education, because obviously people will listen when they feel like it tends to um like revolve around them or something that they can apply into their life. Like at the end of the day, for example, nobody wants to hear about cows. When I hear cow, I don't care. But a lot of the terms in the, let's say, Gemara is cows. Why? Because that was the property back then. So it's like, okay, you want to use the word cow, use the word cow, but make a little quick input, a personal input, and be like, hey, so like, when it's talking about one person, this, and this person's cow, it's in reference to property. It's in reference to somebody breaking your real estate or somebody hitting your car, your vehicle. Like simple, like relate it to this day and age, and you'll find that people will actually listen. So I figured, you know what, why not do bitachon within business? Because at the end of the day, business is people's lives, literally their lives. And it's like, whoa, I don't know about that. No, it's really true that we never lived in a generation, we've never experienced to the point where business is one's life. There's not a separation between life and business. In this day and age, it's literally one's business is their life. How can we say that? We can say the fact that, it used to be you clock in at 9, you leave at 5, and boom, leave your work at work. When you walk through the door, you're a husband, you're a wife, you're whatever it is, It's no longer the case. You have people, majority of people, I don't even know if majority, but you have a lot of people working from home. So their home is their business. There's no leaving it at the door. A lot of people work the extra hours, the on-call concept, because I gotta grind. So understanding the fact that if you want to relate to people's life, you're gonna have to relate it to business. And I feel like that's where we're at now. So Bitachon within business simply it's a very straightforward thing, and I think it really comes down to the fact of just honesty. How many people can actually say that they're honest in business? Honest in everything. You're late, you're being honest. I'm sorry. It's not like somebody mentioned if you're going to tell them, I overslept, if you're going to tell your boss, I overslept, and it wasn't traffic, they'll fire you. It's like, yeah, but you also have to understand, when a boss is asking why you're late, 99% of the time, they don't actually care why you're late. They just simply want to hear, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. There's a difference between oversharing. Hey, I'm sorry I was late. I was partying last night. I was hungover. I forgot to buy milk, so I had to go get milk this morning. It resulted in me having to come home, then eat, and then come here, so that's why I'm late. Obviously you're going to get fired. You're not going to get fired because you were late. You're going to get fired because that's you. Your job. You messed up. If the person, and at the end of the day, if the person was going to fire you because you're late, it wasn't the job for you. God didn't have that job in mind for you. He has something else lined up for you. Yeah, you could have obviously just come on time, but because you no longer can be on time, God removed that concept. He removed that option from you, and there's something else. And it's a sense of reflection. Reflect and realize, wow, God didn't take the job away from me. I lost it. There's a difference. A lot of people, when they lose their jobs, it's like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Understand, it's not always a punishment. That's one. And two, it doesn't necessarily mean God did something to you. Maybe you just did something. You weren't qualified. You didn't do. It's accountability. Accountability is massive when it comes to business. And you'll see that successful people in business typically take accountability. They're not going to dump it off. They're not going to make excuses. They're not going to lie. They're going to own up to things. It's very simple. Own up to things. And you realize in business, it's a lot different in this day and age. We live in a generation that is not used to any of these things. This is a completely new front for Judaism, for religion, for people. And I mentioned this isn't too much around the topic of business, but I guess it goes into the sense of appreciation, accountability, and I guess then you can convert it into business. But it's in regards to the fact that we live in a generation that is literally fighting fundamentals. We've never had this in our time, where fundamentals were being straight targeted. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by the fact that, for instance, a fundamental thing, fundamentals to Judaism, love your fellow as you love yourself. When have we ever lived in a generation where loving yourself wasn't even the norm? People don't love themselves. They don't. The reality is they don't love themselves. A lot of people don't even know themselves. They don't. They surround themselves with people and things that are just constantly in comparison to each other. Boom, 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 boom. I'm just competing. I never even have time to sit down and just reflect on my own self. Am I happy? Am I doing well? Is my well-being good? Is my mental state good? A lot of people don't do that. They're not happy. Their mental state's not good. And at the end of the day, they don't love themselves. So obviously, you find yourself being, if you're messing with fundamentals of love your fellow as you love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you are now unable to love others. That's what we find our world being, the norm. That's the norm in this generation, sadly. What else? Another fundamental thing. Who is rich? One who's happy with their lot. Again, fundamentals. We live in a generation. Appreciation is very low. Gratitude is very low. All-time low. Why? Oh, that was a great day. No, it could have been better. Oh, wow, beautiful house. Yeah, but it's not the biggest in the block. Wow, what a beautiful family. Yeah, but we don't live in the best neighborhood. There's always something. Always something. It's not just, yeah, I'm grateful. I'm very happy with what I have. I'm blessed to have this family. I'm blessed to have this house. I'm blessed to have this job. It's not like, oh, I don't like my job. Oh, I need to find a new one. Oh, this one doesn't pay enough. All right, I understand what you don't have. Acknowledge what you do have, though. You do have a job at the end of the day. You do have a boss. You do have whatever it is. You do have all these things. Acknowledge what you have. It's gratitude. One who's happy with their lot is rich. If you're not happy with your lot, which again, a lot of people are not happy. It's like, oh, I can't be happy with what I have because if I'm happy with what I have, I'm not going to be motivated to get more. So I have to keep telling myself I'm not happy, so it motivates me. That's, again, the generation we live in. So when you understand these things, comparison is the robbery of joy. We live in a generation that constantly compares. You have Instagram, you have every social media platform is simply comparing to one another. Obviously, you're not happy. We have to understand there has to be a bigger sense of a fight. You can't just fight it the typical way how society and generations have done it before. It's not going to work. We're fighting something that is unheard of. It's never happened. We are fighting a society that is straight targeting fundamentals. And that's something that we need to take a stance on. So again, the topic was Bitachon within business. It's in honor of Lule Nishma for Yosef ben Devorah, Gabriel Masaud Bat Sarah, Serene Bat Mazal, and Yehuda Lev ben Harav Pinchas Cohen. May all the Neshamot have the ultimate aliyah. And just remember, it all starts with you. It's one day at a time. Everything's going to be okay. Have a good one.